So it's time for us to talk about our great friends, the baritones. And what a better way to talk about the baritones than addressing four of the greatest roles for a baritone, and why not them being evil, as you may be well aware. Out of the many stereotypes that there are in the opera, one of them is that the tenor is the good guy and the baritone is the bad guy. And the same way, the soprano is young and good, and the mezzo is old and bad. So, out of those many stereotypes, is that we have the baritones being the counterpart of the tenor. And so I chose or I selected these great roles as well as evil. And I think that the first thing that I have to say is that I need to clarify what or why am I considering these roles as evil? Because some people may think, but what about Amonasro in Aida? He does not do good. Or what about Don Carlo in La Forza del Destino? Or you can think of many other roles where the baritone is not really the good guy, but everything has to do, from my perspective, with the motivation. And that's why I took my time to create this very simple chart to try to summarize and share with you these four roles that I am inviting you to very quickly go over the four of them. Of course, the first one that we need there is no better way to start it than to have an Scarpia, our this very great role from the opera Tosca by Maestro Puccini. And I think that at this point, if not all, many of you already know that the motivation of Scarpia is of political nature. He's the chief of the police in Rome, one of his, if not his enemies, one of the people who is on the other side of the political spectrum has just escaped from prison. So he has to recapture Angelotti and, using all the circumstances around him, put them in his favor so that he can finally have Tosca. Because, as he shares with us throughout the opera, he has been desiring Tosca for so long. So he's evil enough to manipulate Tosca so that he can find the place where Angelotti is hiding. Of course, one of the most iconic moments of our friend Scarpia is his Te Deum, where he says, Va Tosca. I want to mention, and I'm going to do it several times today, that it is not only that you have the voice of a baritone, but the intention. You cannot be evil and say, Va Tosca nel tuo cor sanida scarpia. It has to really sound evil. Nel tuo cor sani the scarp. Of course, me not having a voice of baritone, which I wish I had, I am not able to share it with you how I think it should sound. But keep in mind that it is not only that you play evil purposes, but that your voice actually can show people how evil must sound. And that is for our first dear friend Scarpia in Tosca. The second one I chose to share with you today is Tonio, the baritone role from the opera, from the Verismo I Pagliacci by Maestro Leoncavallo. The motivation of Tonio is similar, and you will find at the end of this list that uh, they share their motivations very closely. They are more similar than we may first think of them. So, what is the motivation of Tonio? He wants revenge because he has been rejected by Neda. He desires Neda so much that he really wants to have his revenge and have this woman that is not meant to be for him. And so Tonio will have his revenge. He will not have Neda, but at the end she will pay with her life. Then we have another very, very evil character. Of course, we are referring to Iago in the opera Otello by Maestro Giuseppe Verdi. You may also be very well aware that Otello is at the end of the career of Maestro Verdi. He has perfected his compositions, and so at the end of his career, along with Falstaff, we have Otello. The Chocolata project, as it is often referred, as it was a top secret that Maestro Verdi was working on this masterpiece by Shakespeare. And so this is how the baritone is given the role of Iago, whose sole purpose, different to the other three baritone roles here, his motivation is to destroy Othello. He can't understand how a person of the race of Othello, because all his motivation has to do with the racist, because he can understand that somebody else has a higher rank, is the governor, but that a black, a more person as it is Othello, he can just not take it. So he puts all his efforts in destroying everything Othello is. And he finally achieves it. But he reminds us of his purpose in one of the most well known operatic passages of history. Of course, I am referring to the Credo in un Dio crudel, where he explains that he has been or he's similar to the God that created him.
Credo in un Dio crudel che m'ha creato simile a sé e che nell'ira io domo.
Dio, what a tremendous aria is Credo in un Dio crudel. And the final example in our list of four great baritone roles and evil roles for the baritone is also one of my favorites, Barnaba from the opera La Gioconda by Maestro Amilcare Ponchielli. Barnaba does not have so many solo times or duets throughout the opera, but from the very beginning we really get how evil Barnaba is. His motivation is that since he's a spy, he wants to have Enzo imprisoned, because I'm not telling you the whole story about La Gioconda, but Enzo is disguised into another character so that he is not kept in prison. In fact, that's why the overall purpose of Barnaba is to have him recaptured. And again, Barnaba desires Gioconda. And so, same way as Scarpia, he thinks he can have two. Have in the case of Scarpia, have Cavaradossi captured, put in prison. Barnaba wants to have Enzo imprisoned. Scarpia wants to have Tosca. Barnaba wants to have Gioconda. But at the end of the opera, when he thinks he will finally have Gioconda, he learns that she has already drunk poison, and she also wanted him to have her mother released. The woman referred as La Checa, that we learned of her at the beginning of the opera. But as Gioconda dies, she dies, sorry, and is not able to hear that Barnaba is very, very upset. Is very upset that Gioconda has just died and he will not be able to possess her. And the last words that he manages to utter are, well, it doesn't matter because at the end I had already killed your mother. So unfortunate that you are not able to see it, Gioconda, because your mother is already dead.